What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today is going to be about Henrik Rydström's tactics. Now, it took me a while to really replicate his style inside of the game, so hopefully you do enjoy. And if you do, a like and subscription would be much appreciated. And we are now live streaming on this page, so also, if you do want to come in and ask any questions, suggest tactics, watch me play the game live, you can come do so. You've not got to go over to Twitch. It's simply done here. It's nice and easy. Let's get into today's video, though. This one should impress you. Then it's only fair we do start with Malmo, obviously the team in question. They are obviously a team that play over in the Swedish league, and a team that I don't usually test with because I like to go with the top European leagues, but it is realistic we use them today, and we are going to enjoy a fantastic season in that Swedish Premier Division, only losing one game out of every single match. Now, I will go over and say it is a league which we are expected to do incredibly well in. There are a couple of teams that can cause issues, but realistically, Malmo are one of the real candidates to sort of lift the league. So we, we live up to the standard. We get the job done. We also are going to win the Swedish Cup, which, to be fair, for some reason we can't even see. That is incredibly frustrating. But we go on and win it in the second round, so we'll take it. That is going to be 2 for 2. And in terms of the stats, you can see here we are going to have one lad up front who really did enjoy a great season, and I will say not the quickest. So we got the best out of a bit of a slow player right there, which isn't always the easiest to do, but something which this tactic does do a great job in. Now, in terms of the actual stats, 89 goals, possession 61%, most dribbles, fewest conceded, most clean sheets, a ton of shots, and the most goals. We literally take home every stat line bar 2, and the pass completion, we're up there with the best. So a very strong season, resulting in just shy of 3 goals a game, only half a goal conceded, a good amount of shots per game, a great pass completion, and one of the high attacker win ratios I've had in a very long time. But that Swedish Cup second round game, we are going to show you the highlights so you can see how this team did play. Of course, Berg Johnson, or Johansson should I say, a player who we do sign quite a fair bit in rebuilds, a real strong player. He is going to make it 1-0 inside of 20 minutes, and I will go over and say the game got pretty easy from this point. A penalty inside of 30 minutes, we are going to go over and make it 2. We are now literally just before the half-time whistle, and we do find a way to somehow scrape a third goal. So when you go in, especially just before half-time with a 3-goal advantage, you know things are most likely going to go your way. And apart from this situation here, which I will say is a little bit of dodgy defending, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, we should have cleared the ball, we don't, and there is way too much space for him to get a clear header. That is the one thing I'm not happy with from this game. Other than that, it was a very solid performance, more possession, more shots, better XG, just an overall real strong performance. And if you've been paying attention to the goals, you'll notice a big mixture in the way the goals are scored. So we're not relying on only going long, only going short, only losing the left, only using the right. We will use multiple areas in different formats, and we will score goals. And that is dominance. We're then going to go over and test with Stuttgart, one of my favourite teams in Germany, and a team which, to be honest, aren't expected to do that incredibly well, but they have got some good players, including previous RB Leipzig man Andre Silva, who does score 30 goals. He is going to be our top goal scorer and therefore played a big part in us actually lifting the league, with 25 wins, 6 draws and just 3 losses. We also are going to go over and win. I said Stuttgart, didn't I? Werder Bremen, please don't roast me in the comments. I read Stuttgart down here, a complete howler from me. I'm going to keep it in the video just because it is quite funny. Remember, I could have cut that out, but just for the comedy, I'll keep it in. The Pokal, we do beat Stuttgart 4-2. Finally, we've got our words right, and I will go over and say the team stats, the most goals being scored and the most points are really the only things we're going to get done. Defensively, there is a bit of a drop-off because we've not got as good a defence as Dortmund, Bayern, Bayer Leverkusen, although we do outclass Bayern, so despite them having a better backline, we are going to do quite well. Where we are going to fall down to third again is joint with Bayern and Frankfurt when it comes to the clean sheets. Possession, I'm quite happy with above 50% with a team like Werder Bremen, so I am going to take it, Werder Bremen, not Stuttgart. And going over to the data hub, we can go and see a total of 2.53 goals a game, so again, a little bit of a less quality team, or maybe just a tougher league is a bit more of a polite way of wording that. 0.79 conceded, a little less shots per game, but still, we're putting up the stats to win not only the Bundesliga, but win the Pokal with a team like Werder Bremen, who I believe are predicted around 11th, so it's a very strong season, and once again we're seeing a striker really get used to the max advantage. And that Pokal final, we are going to get off to a great start against Stuttgart, just to make that very correct. We're going to get off to a great start inside of a minute, and we actually go on to make it 2 very early on, before the 17th minute, just, I believe. A great bit of play initially, but the result ended in a little bit of stroke of luck. A bit of bad defending from Stuttgart. Of course, as you can see in the top left of your screens, it was not a clean sheet, sadly, in this final. They are a very, very good team, Stuttgart, with some good players. Stiller just being one of those who played a big part in obviously them getting their goal. But with Werder Bremen, we're not going to give in. We're not going to bottle it, as we are going to go through and go 3-1 up with a great goal there from Bittencourt inside of the 65th minute. To be fair to Stuttgart, they always give us a good game. It was really only, you know, it was pretty back and forth, and their biggest mistake was actually allowing us to get them 2 early goals, because they did have a really good run in the final and they did play well. But sadly for them, we are going to have the last laugh as we go through, and it's again, it is going to be the same goal scorer. What a player. Lastly, the powerhouse of the video, the real powerhouse, is going to be Manchester City, where we do win literally everything that we could win. Now, yes, I know it's Man City, but we always include one real powerhouse that is in big European competitions. Now, I will go and say it is the De Bruyne and Haaland show. We are getting the prime De Bruyne, not the De Bruyne that you're seeing in real life right now. We do draw 6 games, we also lose 2, but do you know what? We played in 6 competitions, so you can expect to slip up the odd result here or there, and the fact we have won everything is absolutely remarkable. The Champions League, we actually stuffed Real Madrid 5-1. The Super Cup, we stuffed Sevilla 7-0. That is a real statement. Crystal Palace, fair play, only lose 2-1, and fair play to get into the final. The Carabao Cup, 5-0 over Newcastle, and the Community Shield, we do scrape, and I mean scrape, just about on penalties. But it's a very similar story, extracting the most out of the striker. The team stats are going to be very dominant. I don't know what's happened with United here, because they never top the possession charts, but they had a great season in that regard. We are going to have 56% of the ball, most goals, most shots, fewest conceded, the most clean sheets, and of course, as you would probably imagine, one of the better data hubs. I mean, goals per game is still just shy of 3. This tactic is a very sort of controlling style. It's not all about attack, and throwing people forward, but it does get enough goals to get by. Defensively, incredible. Possession, very good. How we are on the ball is absolutely amazing, and we do that all while having close to 20 shots a game. So genuinely, this tactic, I'm going to use a word, balanced. That describes it. When we've got a chance to actually show a game against Madrid, and a game where we beat them by a 4-goal advantage, I am going to show it, because Madrid rarely get beat like this. And I tell you what, this team got dismantled by Man City. A great start in the, well, literally the biggest final you can play in, arguably with the World Cup, to be fair. To be fair, that might be a bit bigger. But we are going to go over and take a 2-0 lead before half-time with Haaland, a great ball in from Foden, which we love to see. And we really did control this game. Rodrigo, fitted in this system really well. What is going on with the words today is Gundogan is going to go through, and he is going to make it 3-0 inside of 48 minutes. And at this stage of the game, things were going very well, to the point where, even if, as they are going to do very shortly, sadly, Madrid did get a goal, we still had a nice comfortable 2-goal cushion, so I wasn't really stressing too much. I know how solid this tactic is. It's very good at getting the goals and then holding on to that lead and controlling, and when you've got my set pieces, which I'm going to say are easily the best that I've personally made out of all the football managers that I've posted videos on, you can rely on the set pieces. They'll get you another goal, and luckily for us, of course, you can also have De Bruyne, so a very easy win. Right, now over to your favourite part of the video. That is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and if you do enjoy rebuilds, you can come over to my second channel, Daily Josh, where there is a rebuild every other day, and Malmo are going to get a rebuild until we win the big European competition. Now, I will say, we are also live streaming on this channel if you did miss it earlier in the video, and I would love to see some faces come on in, so make sure you check me out. I always schedule the live stream, so you will know when I'm going to go live. It would be absolutely amazing. But to actually make this tactic, we are going to use a clean slate, and we are simply going to go over and load in a 4-2-3-1 DM AM wide, and we'll mould it from there. But just for now, the one change you want to do is go from balanced up to positive. So then, this tactic is technically a 4-2-3-1, but it does shape up in a bit of a different style. So don't worry, it's not your boring 4-2-3-1, which, you know, a lot of people are sick of, but I will say it is the most consistent formation. So if you want to win games, you want to probably be playing a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 to guarantee the best results possible. Now, I will go over and say this right away. This tactic is really described as balanced, in my opinion. It does everything to a very good level, and it doesn't go and score 5 goals a game, but it will also not concede many goals, but it will score enough. So it's just a nice balanced way of playing football, and genuinely, it is suited to every single team. You could use this in non-league, you could use it in the highest level like Man City, and it will do the job really well. Now, both of the ball players are going to be on default, to clarify, as we are going to use a default sweeper keeper alongside of that. The wingbacks are going to be a little bit different. So on the left hand side, we are going to operate with an inverted wingback who is simply going to be set to support. So we're going to do that now and add on some custom instructions consisting of dribbling less and also tackling harder. I don't really want him playing with the ball, but I do want him sitting in an inverted position, but not really to be dribbling up the pitch with the ball. And challenge-wise, I need him to be getting stuck in. The right back, we are going to be using a fullback, not on support. He is going to be set to attack, and he is going to have a few instructions, so let's lock in. We are going to use cross from the byline, dribble more, also run wide alongside of tackle harder, so that is these 4 right here. This player is responsible for providing a serious amount of width in this tactic that will become very clear to why in a couple of minutes. I'll explain it. I've got you covered, don't worry. Going over to the midfield, we are going to operate with 2 deeper options, and on the left hand side we are going to use a volante who is simply going to be set to support, who is going to have some instructions consisting of dribbling more alongside of getting forwards and also tackling harder. He plays a big role in this team. Volante is one of my favourite roles at the moment, so quite handy. It was also a good representation of his system. Alongside of him, we are going to use a DM, actually on defend, which we rarely do, usually as support, but in this system, I want to try and just make it a little bit more secure at the back, and it worked really well. We are going to operate with take more risks, alongside of tackle harder, so this DM will work hard to win the ball back, and he will also take passing risks. There is the occasional risk being taken in this midfield, and to be honest, it rarely caught me out because we were so good when he won the ball back at controlling the game, and even with him taking more passing risks, they usually paid off, so you haven't got to worry about that either. I do want to quickly say at any part of the video, if you are interested in getting all of these wonderful perks, including all 3 of the tactics today, getting them on console and on mobile, all of my rebuild files, ad-free viewing, and also access to this month's big giveaway, you can come over and check out the Patreon, where we've got close to 5,200 people, and there's 20% off, so make sure you come on over and get involved. Do not miss out. Now, going over to the sort of free block we have in the team, the AM in the middle is simply going to be on support. Now, this player is going to have a fair few instructions consisting of holding up, shooting less, and also tackling harder. So he's actually quite a reserved attacker midfield player, a player that isn't really going to look to have any shots at all and just hold up the ball and pretty much create the play for the people around him. So this player will have a lot of the ball in the games. You'll see it in the highlights. He might not always get the most assists compared to the player on the right of him or the player on the left, but he's sort of a key piece of the puzzle you can't take out of the team. Now, speaking of the right hand side, we are going to drag him in. He is going to be an AM set to attack, and this is why I said there's serious importance on the fullback being on attack, because he needs to provide width, and a lot of the play, especially the crossing side of things, will come in on the right hand side. So that is why you need to have a good fullback. Now, the AM attack on right is going to have some instructions. We are going to consist him of take more risks, dribble more, roam, and also move into the channels. So at some point, we saw it in the highlights a fair bit, he is going to drift into this area, and that is much needed because he will link up the play with the fullback. The DM is not going to push up, the fullback will push up, so it's very important he is roaming about in this sort of area here to link up the play between the fullback and the AM, and of course to the advanced forward up front, who by the way is simply on the default. The last player in the team is going to be another player, and that is going to be an inside forward, simply on attack. And we are going to go over and add some key instructions consistent of holding up the ball, roaming from the position, staying wider, and also setting him on tackle harder. Now, this player here, this player here, this player here, a very nice mixture of a 4-2-3-1. This player on the left has to stay wide, provide the width, because the inverted wingback isn't really going to push up that much on dribble less, so I want him to stay wide and be a wide player, and when he's got the ball as an inside forward does, he will naturally cut inside. So stay wide, cut inside. Pretty simple. But let's head on over right now and let's go and talk about some of the actual team instructions. So again, clean slate based on the positive mentality. We are going to go down by 1 to fairly narrow. We're going to look to overlap right only, so we can really make the most out of the fullback, which is why you will see your right back traditionally get a lot more assists than, of course, quite a complacent left inverted wing back. Now, going over to the final third, I personally wanted to use low crosses, work the ball into the box, run at defence, the passing down by 1, the tempo maxed out to higher. We are playing quite the fast-paced game. In transition, we're going to look to counter and counter press, nearly said counter twice then, play to anyone across the back line and simply take short goal kicks. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to have a very aggressive, much higher line alongside of stepping that line up even more, so really controlling the game, getting stuck in, preventing short goalkeeper distribution and also setting the trigger press to much more often. Now going over to the attacking version, very important you've got this because the tactic's amazing, but sometimes you need a bit more firepower, so please do go over and get this or copy it from the video, hence why I include it in the video so you're not forced to go over. We are going to go and change a few things. Now the goalkeeper does remain the same, the ball players remain the same, the fullback on the right the same, the left back changes to an inverted wing back on attack on tackle harder, and this time he will be getting forward, so that's the first real big change. The next big change is the volante, now on attack, on dribble more and tackle harder. The roaming playmaker, a big change on tackle harder. The AM on the right remains the same, the AM through the middle goes up to attack on the same instructions. The inside forward now consists of shoot more often, roam, stay wide and tackle harder. If your left player, your left inside forward, does not have at least around 13 finishing, 12 finishing maybe, do not have shoot more often on because you'll become incredibly frustrated, and the advanced forward remains unchanged. Now, the big change here as well is we are going to go up to attacking from positive. The attack and width does remain the same. This also remains the same because it's the way we want to be playing our football. The overlap on the right, exactly the same. Playing out from the back, you can also do. One thing that I did if I needed even more going forward was actually offer an underlap, so that is completely up to you. I'm not going to have it on as a default, as a downloadable sort of option, because you don't always need it. We are going to play identically the same tempo and passing, but this time we are going to run at defence alongside of being more expressive. In transition, 4 things technically: counter press, counter, distribute quickly, play to the entire back line while taking short goal kicks. And lastly, you can't really get much more attacking than the previous, so it is going to be literally exactly the same because you can't really go any more attacking. Now, if you want to try and play with a real small team, or you want to try and simply defend a game out, I have got you covered. Now, the way this tactic plays is going to be a little bit different. So one thing you'll notice is we have gone a lot more central, so we've got this free block of AMs. The striker does remain the same. All of the AMs are going to be on support now. So on the left, AM on support, pass at short, roam and move into the channels. Exactly the same on the right, through the middle, on support again, but this player is going to be tackling harder, shooting less, holding up and passing at short. All the players in this block are on pass at short, so we are going to have quite a bit more of that sort of possession-based game. A ball-winning midfield player comes in, simply on support, alongside of a DM who is the same as the previous default version. 2 default defending sort of fullbacks with 1 instruction, that being tackle harder. That is optional because a lot of people would argue, Josh, don't you want to drop off in a defensive tactic? I would somewhat disagree and say it is purely down to, you can look at it from 2 perspectives. You can drop back and they might sort of get more shots at goal, and if your keeper's not world class, you might concede some more long shots. And in this sort of team, our keeper I wouldn't say is world class, so I wanted my fullbacks to actually get stuck in and prevent that from happening. Both of the ball players do remain the same, as does the goalkeeper. We are now going to drop down to balance, so again a big tactical change. The attack and width exactly the same, the final third the same, work ball into the box the same, playing out from the back the only thing selected in this graph now. And if you've got them, play for my set pieces because as you saw, they do come in clutch. When you need a goal, they will save you. The passing down by 1 and the time wasting all the way maxed out. In transition, we're going to counter and then hold the shape to dominate the ball, slow the pace down, play to the back line while taking short goal kicks. And lastly, we are going to see another big change, the standard line instead of the much higher with that high press. This does remain the same with get stuck in and step up more to still push the team up as we go forward. And that is going to give you 3 versions of this tactic that has been requested so many times: a default, an attacking, and a defensive. I do apologise it's taken a bit of time, but I don't usually watch Malmo, so it took me a lot of time to actually research it, and hopefully I've got it right. But as always, I'm a big advocate of getting the community involved, so if you think I made a mistake in any player role, if you've got any advice, maybe you're a lifetime Malmo fan, and you think, oh, you could have used that there, do let me know, and I'll take it on board. At some point, we might even remake it, so be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.